This is a 2016 R1200RT. It's a new water-cooled model, and this is a installation video on how we're going to put this pillion mount. We're going to end up with an auxiliary tank back here, and this is a demo of how to mount the mountings. They changed in the water-cooled model starting in 2014. They changed the hand grips. And so we have a new mount that goes back here. Here's the elements of this mount. There's a rear bracket that goes back. There's a right side bracket, a left side bracket, and here we see all of the hardware that's associated with it. There's mounting screws for the rear, there's mounting screws for the side brackets, and then there's a mounting screws for whatever you're going to put on top, which could be a auxiliary tank or it could be a luggage platform. The tools that you'll need are a T30 Torx to get the seat off, an M, a 4mm socket hex head, and you'll need a short one, and the same thing with the 5mm. You'll need a short one there. So we'll get started on this now. Thank you. Always a good idea to have a good work surface. We want to put the motorcycle up on a center stand. You'll notice I've taken the panniers off. First thing we need to do is remove the seat. Both front and rear seat need to come off. Unscrew these thumb nuts. Remove the pillion seat and the rider seat. Once you have the seats off and your work area arranged, you want to remove the bolt from the side right here. This is the T30 Torx, and these screws won't be used for this installation, so you're going to want to put them back and save them put them in a good place where you can find them later on. I've already loosened some things up to expedite this process. We're going to retain these screws. You need the 4mm to take this screws out back here in the back, the two mounting screws. Now this is for an initial installation, and we're not going to tighten everything down. This is the rear bracket, and it goes in place. This notch out is in here so it'll clear the pillion seat. You see this extends out. So we've got two button head screws that go in this place, like so. Now the first thing I'm going to demonstrate is how these side brackets go on. And I leave this kind of loose. Okay, you want to be able to, you can reach up underneath here and tighten these up after you get everything in alignment. There's some tolerances across motorcycles and things may be different. This is a right side bracket, a left side bracket, excuse me, and you know it goes over here because the angle turns out. And we use this long M6 with a 5mm hex head. The bracket goes on the outside of this tab. Probably be able to see that better on the other side. And you want us to get this started loosely. Where you can still move this. Do the same thing on the other side. We have the two short M6 hex head that go into this outer bracket, and again this is loose, and we'll put this one in over here. Loosely installed. That's it. There's your there's your basic platform to support whatever you might want to support. Let me give you a demonstration of how this might be used. I've repositioned the pillion seat, and I'm sourcing a luggage platform to go on here. But right now, here's an example. You could put a luggage platform on this, and of course it might be bigger and have some turnips on it and tie down places, but this will give you an idea. One of the things that we did with this design was to make sure that you could get the pillion seat out without having to remove anything. And you certainly can do that. The other option that you have to put up here is an auxiliary tank, and I'll show you that right now. This is a auxiliary tank that will sit on these brackets, and we'll install it first, but it goes up like this. And one of the things that we did is on the brackets underneath that bolt this angle, both of these angles, we've made this adjustable. It's got 1.5 inches of travel in 1/2 inch increments. You can mount this on here. You probably want it as far back as you can get it, but you know, in case you want to move it forward. In all likelihood, you're installing an auxiliary tank, and if in putting the tank on, it's very difficult to get to these screws with these brackets already in place. So we're going to put the brackets onto the gas tank and then put it in position after the fact. On an initial installation, you want to install these side brackets. Make sure they're pointed the right direction. We want to have it in and forward. And we'll start these screws in here. And for this initial installation, we don't want to tighten them down. We want to leave that bracket loose. So that we could get things in alignment. You can see that this is the kind of thing that you might be able to get this done with the brackets already on the motorcycle, but it's just far easier to getting these started because the screws are in the way of the handrail. But I've left these loose so that we can position this. Up here, and I'll get a tight shot for you, but we want to make sure that those brackets going outside, and then they just sit right down in here on the side, like so. The first thing you want to do is put in these long M6 hex head bolts, and I have that out on the wrong side of the bracket. There we go. That's why we leave that side brackets loose. And you can get this in approximate position. I'll try to keep my hands out of the way. I wasn't real enamored with the way you have to reach in here with this angle wrench. And we'll get those screws started. And then you should be able to get them with your fingers and make sure that the threads are going into place. And I see when I turn it, it's going down, so we're in pretty good shape. We don't want to tighten these up fully. Again, we're making an initial adjustment. I'm going to pull them down and where I think it's about snug, and I'm going to back off about 4 or so. And we'll repeat the process on this other side. You gotta wiggle things around, and these should slide right in. And we're going to repeat that on the other side. I'm going to cut the camera off for that since I don't have a good shot. All right, at this point I've got everything put up here, but it's all loose. We want to start tightening things down now. And first start with the M6s, M6 socket head, and I'm going to tighten this front bracket down. On both sides. This is using a 5mm hex head Allen wrench. I'm going to tighten the rear M6s with the same wrench. Good and snug is the answer. You can see about how much. Next thing, we want the M4, and we're going to tighten up the button head screws in the back. This is the one that you should never have to do this more than once, because we'll get a little slop in this, so that if it needs to move a few thousandths left or right in order to get lined up, we tighten these down. And standard torque ratings for M6, which offhand I believe is 7 nanometers, or Newton meters. I always say Newton meters. And then last but not least, don't forget that you left these loose. You don't want to be running down the road and all of a sudden part of your tank is flopping around back there and you're going, oh yeah, I forgot to tighten those down. This is, bear in mind, this is an aluminum block that these are threaded into, and so it's possible to get carried away with torquing and you look at this, you say, well, gee, that looks easy, but I'll tell you what, letting these screws started in here when it's upside down like this is a real pain. Now we're ready to put things back together. Here you can see that the pillion seat will slide right under that nicely. And don't forget that you have these tabs on the seat that need to engage to hold the rear down. Not sure to make a lot of difference with this, but you want to do it right. You can test, say, yeah, did I get them? You can pull up on the back. And last but not least is just how secure is this mount? Well, anybody in the Iron Butt Association is familiar with the War Child shake chest. Well, be careful, don't pull off the center stand. That's, I think that's going to pass any IBR inspections. That's it. Removal, you only need to pull out the rear screw on the side bracket and the front screw on the side bracket. I might as well go ahead and demonstrate that. Take this rear one out in the front. You'll take this out, take these bolts out before you try to take the tank off, because they'll catch on things. Secure the bolts so you don't lose them, and this will slip right off. This does never have to, you never have to take these brackets off again. All right, this is a one-time thing, unless of course you want to take the tank off and put on a some kind of a luggage platform. Thank you for watching.